So besides being on the spectrum, being autistic, they used to call it Asperger's. You have genius IQ, which put your foot in your mouth, not too good with people. So I had to study all this stuff and learn it step by step over many years. But I also have ADHD. So unless I have a lot of notes that I can read, I'll tend to forget a lot of the things I'm teaching. And plus, when you got anxiety, when you're teaching in front of people, it makes you forget too. So I try to do overkill with all my notes just so that we can get through the whole presentation, get people the information that they need. But yeah, this last couple classes have been pretty life changing. Got a lot of great feedback. This one should be pretty life changing too. So let's go ahead and get started. Tonight's presentation from the Friend Magnet is about navigating friendships and friend groups. In today's world of increasing social isolation and mental health awareness, we're going to explore how to develop emotional intelligence and maintain healthy relationships. Throughout this presentation, we're going to address social anxiety, provide practical social skills for everyone, including geeks and gamers like myself. And we're going to learn how to set boundaries in relationships, very important, as far as friendships as well as relationships. Building on foundations of courage, mindfulness, and connection skills, we're going to take your social abilities to the next level, even for those navigating the autism spectrum like me, or other challenges. Remember, this journey of self-improvement, it's not about perfection, but it's about progress. Progress is more important than perfection. And through consistent, tiny little improvements that compound over time, it's going to boost your motivation and overall mental health. We get into the meat of the presentation now. Just an update for the International Friend Connection while people are coming in. This is what we have going on for y'all coming up the week of the 27th, so in about a week. So Monday, going to be doing a class next week. That one's going to be the class you'll want to attend. It's all about how to meet someone in person without using a dating app. And I ran this by several therapists. They were kind of blown away. They didn't know a lot of this stuff that I'm teaching here. Tuesday, we always have board games in Grand Rapids with Michelle at House Rules. Wednesday is we're going to, so online, we do an online meeting every Wednesday at 8:30. You call in via Zoom, meet new friends from around the globe. I'm going to stream my feed to YouTube so we can get more people into the Zoom that way. And so people can chat if you're not ready to come on camera or come to the official event there. So in West Michigan, we're going to have meet up at Schuler Books for Shy People with our great organizer, Annalise. East Michigan, Becky's going to host coffee and tea at Matari for Shy People. Thursday, East Michigan, it's going to be Sweet Waters with Vicky. Great event. And she may be here tonight. She may be here tonight watching. And then Friday, come hang out at Cafe Bobo with me every Friday in Grand Rapids. And by the way, our new group in New York City, I forgot to put this on there, but they are going to do a networking night with neurodivergent professionals sponsored by the Happy Spot. My friend Jack Thomas owns the company. He's paying for a nice venue not too far from Times Square off Broadway. And he's going to pay for some food and stuff for y'all. So find out more, internationalfriendconnection.com. You can see a lot of our TV interviews. And now just tell you a little bit about me. Yeah, that's a picture of me and my friend Bob Berg, author of the Go Giver series, one of my favorite series of business books and leadership books, 1.2 million copies sold. So who am I? I'm creator of the Friend Magnet. This is a social intelligence system designed for neurodivergent professionals and shy or awkward people. So I have personally led 2,100 or more than 2,100 live events over the past 11 years to help shy people make friends in real life. Also, I've ran a team of 100 volunteers over the past 11 years, established 50 chapters around the world of the International Friend Connection. And together we've run about 4,500 events in all those chapters. Oh, I got to get my drink going. I'm a certified professional coach, and I have a certificate in the acceptance and commitment therapy model for coaching. Been recognized by U.S. President Biden 4 times, was also declared a point of light by George H.W. Bush's Foundation Points of Light. Got endorsements by Bob Berg, the Go Giver. my buddy in the picture there. Also, the former CEO of Meetup, David Siegel, named me Meetup's brand ambassador after I helped so many people on their platform. You can find out more about that in our YouTube channel. And I've been featured on local Fox, ABC, and NBC news stations multiple times. And I built this system because I was the most socially awkward guy in the room. I did not understand people at all. And I don't just teach theory. None of this is theory. This is what works for analytical, shy, and neurodivergent people like us. This is what works in the real world. This isn't some theory of how things should be. This works in the real world. And if we find that something doesn't work, we modify it and we update the classes. So this has been tested over 11 years. So what's the friend magnet framework that I created? It's a structured system that combines acceptance and commitment therapy tools, basically helps you get out of your head and to take action. Hey, Vicky's here. Great to see Vicky. And then it's step-by-step social skills training so that you know how to talk to people, get people to like you, and make connections with people. And then Wednesday nights and in Michigan and New York and Portugal now, we've got in-person groups that you can go to, as well as our virtual groups that you can meet people and talk to people that are going through the same dang thing. So it's built for shy and socially anxious people, neurodivergent professionals, and analytical minds like me who struggle with connection. Because sometimes you have the brain of the planet, but people just confuse the heck out of you. And connecting with other people, it's not a problem that can be solved with logic. It's a total emotional problem. So if you're not in touch with your emotions, very hard to connect with other people. So again, this is not therapy or a replacement for therapy. It's a good adjunct onto therapy because what treatment for social anxiety leaves out is they leave out the skills training. So we're providing the gap that therapy and other treatments leave out. So we provide you the life skills needed to live the life and have the career that you deserve. Note for some people that are neurodivergent like me, we use some metaphors in our presentations. So some of the stuff isn't literal. If you get confused, feel free to ask in chat and I will clarify something. Yeah, feel free to go ahead and put in chat where you're calling in from. We got some Michigan people and people all over. So friend magnet framework, this is our 6-week journey. I'm going to squeeze it down to 5 because I'm doing something with the classes in the next go round. We're going to repeat this every 5-6 weeks or so. Every Monday will be a new class. So first week, I teach you how to overcome those anxious feelings using acceptance commitment therapy tools to develop psychological flexibility. And what it allows you to do is to be anxious, but go get the life you want anyways. And that's the key. Be in pain, being anxious, but do it anyways. I've heard it say, F your feelings, do it anyways. Number 2, so we taught you how to talk to people step by step, how to get people to like you, how to establish emotional connections with people. Number 3 was the mindset tools. I'm actually going to move that because I think this class should come before the mindset class. But last week I taught you how to do the inner work so that you become the person that people want to be around. And tonight we're navigating friendships. It's all going to be about boundaries and how to choose healthy friends. I got another class, how to find meaning and purpose. I'm holding off on that one. It's going to be part of another framework that I'm building more for mission-driven organizations like mine, like International Friend Connection. And then next week, what we're going to do for you. So I got to revise this slide. Next week, what we're going to do for you, I'm going to give away my whole strategy, how to meet people without using dating apps, where to find love in your community. And it's not for the faint of heart. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's a strategy that if you cultivate over the long run, works every time, especially if you use it with all this other stuff, especially if you're doing the inner work. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover the progress mindset about small daily improvements that compound. Boundaries, this will be the most important part. Boundaries is basically just saying it's okay to say no and tell people your limits. Effective communications, abundance philosophy. We want to get you into that abundance mindset where you let go of the desperation and realize, there's just a ton of people out there that would love to be your friend. How to find and know what friends are good for you, qualities of true friends, how to be a good friend. So foundation. Oh, we got some people calling in from Canada. Great. We love our Canadian friends. Thanks so much. Great to see you. So, foundation, what are boundaries? Now, I remember when I was working in therapy, and they had me read Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. I outlined that book, and then I forgot a lot of what I read in that book. But really, boundaries you can only learn by practice. Like everything, like this stuff, you can sit in all the classes you want, you can take all the therapy you want, but unless you go out in the real world and practice, none of this is going to be effective. And the more you practice, the more you overcome the pain of getting rejected using those acceptance commitment therapy tools I taught you. Because a lot of life is suffering and pain, but on the other side of all that practice and suffering and pain is that beautiful life that you deserve, that beautiful life that you've been wanting all your life. And we're here for you to get you through all that pain that you're going to go through. So, what a boundary is? A boundary is basically a limit that you need to honor so that you can love or work without resentment with integrity. Boundaries protect your personal space and emotional well-being. Therapist friend told me once, it's kind of where you end and other people or you end and other people begin. It's power of no. It's learning to say no. You're not mean just because you say no to people. People who don't say no are people pleasers, and they get stressed out. They have miserable lives. I was a people pleaser for a long time. Wanted to make everybody like me, so I'd let everybody get away from everything, and then nobody respected me. Um, it's self protection. The boundaries aren't selfish; they're necessary for survival. They help prevent burnout and resentment and unhealthy relationship patterns. So I want to go over types of boundaries. Learned a lot of this in coach training when I was becoming a certified professional coach. Um, so physical boundaries, it's the right to be free from physical abuse or unwanted touch. Emotional boundaries, protections from insults, put down, or verbal abuse, or someone just generally saying mean things to you. Spiritual boundaries, right to practice or not practice your spiritual beliefs or religion. Time, the right to decide what to do with your time. Financial, the right to manage your own money and accounts. And material, the right to access and privacy of your possessions. These are all the things that you have rights to. And, sometimes in relationships and friendships, we make compromises with other people in some of these things. Like maybe a married couple might choose to manage their money together, but that's voluntary cooperation. It's not one person forcing someone to. If you feel like someone's forcing you to do things that are not good for you, that's a good sign that they're violating your boundaries. And you got to trust your emotions. So, boundary styles. Rigid boundaries. So if you're all alone, you have no one in your life, your boundaries may be too rigid when it comes to friendships and social skills. Rigid boundaries, kind of big walls that you let nobody in. A lot of us people that have been hurt, if you've been bullied when you were young, a lot like I have, you put up big walls, you start not liking people. And, it's tough to connect with people. You got to learn to do the inner work to let those walls around, but you only want to let those walls down around safe people. And that's why we're going to help you identify those safe people. I had to create a place for myself in my community because there was no place for people like me. That was my first meetup group called West Michigan Geeks. And I sat back a year later, that lonely feeling all my life that had been there. I sat back a year later and I was like, I'm not alone anymore. And that was pretty amazing. So loose boundaries are completely porous. You kind of let people do whatever they want to you, say whatever they want to you. Nobody respects you. Um, Ideal balance is kind of firm, fair, and flexible. It's like there's a balance between you and other people. You don't let people get away with mistreating you, and you also respect other people when they put up boundaries with you. One thing I learned was, if you put up a boundary with someone, and then they keep pushing at it, they keep telling you why you putting up the boundary is wrong. Maybe that person doesn't need to be in your life. So if you're feeling constantly stressed and overwhelmed, your boundaries are likely too loose. If you find yourself isolated and struggling to form connections, your boundaries may be too rigid. The goal is to find that middle ground where you're protected, but still open to meaningful relationships. So emotional signs of boundary issues, like if you're feeling belittled or unimportant in your friendships or relationships, um, if you're feeling like you're really hypersensitive or just upset all the time, if you're feeling guilty when you do something for yourself to take care of yourself, If people are making you feel guilty, or even you're feeling guilty, that could be a sign that you got some issues with boundaries. Your boundaries are too loose, or people aren't respecting you. Some behavior. This was me being unable to say no. Man, I was so unable to say no. I about ruined my health one year taking a really hard project when I was a software developer. So that's people pleasing, being able to say no, just saying yes to everybody. It's being nice rather than being kind. So disappearing, when conflicts come up, if you just shrink back, you disappear to avoid it. That's a sign of boundary issues too. Saying things are okay when it's not okay with you. That's a sign that you need to be more assertive. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Some relationship patterns. When friendships or relationships happen like super quick or inappropriate, that can be a warning sign. Or when you tolerate people doing inappropriate behavior to you, or, sometimes when you're in friend scarcity mode, you're not in that abundance mindset that we'll talk about. You're just so grateful that someone's your friend after not having any friends forever, that you'll let them do anything to you. And then you're constantly feared that they're going to go away. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to do anything because this friend may go away. Well, surprise, that friend may not be a good friend for you. So here's how you set boundaries. Here's some templates. So we'll go over some examples. So you express your feelings. I feel blank when blank because blank. State your needs. What I need is blank. Establish consequences. When this happens again, I will. And then follow through. If your behavior continues, this is what I'm going to do. So when setting boundaries, you want to combine kindness with candor. You want to be truthful, be clear and specific about what you need. Focus on your feelings rather than blaming others. So we don't want to say to be the worst thing we can do is say to people, oh, you did this and you forced me to do this, and this is all your fault. No, we want to talk about how we feel, how someone's behavior affects us, and what we're going to do if they continue the behavior. Focus on your feelings rather than blaming others, and connect your boundary to your values. That value, what we're pursuing is human connection. Most important, you want to be consistent. But when you care about people a lot, sometimes it's easy to let them do not too nice things for you. But in the long run, that's bad for you and that's bad for them. So here's some common things for people like us. You got a friend who's always canceling plans. Got to have a conversation about it with them. Sometimes it could be something as simple as, their life's changing, they're super busy. Sometimes they may just not be interested in hanging out, but you got to have the conversation. So easy way to express your feelings, like, I feel a little bit unimportant or hurt when you cancel the plans last minute because I set this time aside. And you just got to say, what I need more is I need you to give more notice if you want to cancel a plan. Like, it's okay if you got an emergency, if you're sick. I mean, Lord knows I've canceled a lot of plans because I get a horrible throbbing migraine and I'm bedridden. And I feel super bad about that. I always make sure people know that it's real. But what I need is more notice and consistency when we make plans, and then telling the consequence. If this happens again, I'm probably not going to want to hang out with you for a while. And then if it continues, going to stop hanging out with you altogether. And so this boundary demonstrates respect for your time, because your time matters just as much as somebody else. And it's not being mean, setting up a boundary because, this person isn't a good friend for you. There's a ton of people out there. Once you use a system we've used to meet friends, a ton of people out there like to be your friend. Now, I've been guilty of emotional dumping with people in the past. This is just constantly being upset and negative and talking about nothing. I remember I went through a real tough breakup. And my mind was in the wrong place. And, I was pretty hard to be around. And when I went through bad grief too, my mom died, and then like 4 or 5 other friends and family members died in the same year. I was a little rough to be around. Some people went away. I probably dumped a little bit too much on other people, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But if someone is constantly, there's emotional dumping on you, just where after a conversation, every time, like, let's say you've hung out with them for 3 months. Every time you hang out with them, you're more drained afterwards than before you hung out with them. That may be a sign. So you can acknowledge your feelings. Say, I feel emotionally drained when our conversations are always about problems because it affects my well-being. express what you need. What I need is more balance. Maybe let's talk about some lighter things that we both enjoy. If this happens again, I'm going to steer the conversation towards something lighter. If it continues, I may have to limit our contact because, it really affects me in a negative way. Boundary protects your emotional energy while maintaining the relationship. So it's okay to put a boundary up. Now, there are extreme circumstances, like let's say in the instance somebody went through a real bad breakup, they're going to go on and on about it for a while, but it's not good for them to go on and on about it. Or grief. If they just talk on and on about their grief, sometimes it's a gift we can give people to distract them from what they're going through. So if we can make them laugh, we do something funny for them, we can help them. But if someone's always like a Debbie Downer, a negative Nancy, and you've had that friend and every time you feel worse, how you know is you feel worse hanging out with someone after than before you hung out with them. So one-sided friendships. So, people like us, we tend to get in one-sided friendships. And I'll teach you about one way to filter friendships I learned from Professor Adam Grant in his book Give and Take in a little bit. So this boundary supports this boundary supports fairness and prevents people pleasing behaviors. Oh, great comment in chat. So this sounds easy theoretically. So here's one thing. What I've found is so this sounds easy, but the emotional work is so hard. Courage is such a hard skill to learn, which is why those acceptance and commitment therapy tools like the diffusion and the dropping anchor and the self as contact tools that we talked in week 1 or 2 about are very important because it's you got to get some separation in order to take the actions toward a better life. And there, so a lot of simple things are actually very difficult things, and a lot of complex things can be very easy. But just because something is very simple doesn't mean that it's easy. And putting boundaries up, this is one of the hardest things because you may love people. Your parents may be disrespecting you, or you may have good friends that are disrespecting you, and you kind of want a more equal relationship. But again, this is really tough stuff to do. So don't beat yourself up if it's not real easy. Have a little bit of self compassion and say, every time we try, it's like gaining experience points in a video game, and eventually we're going to level up our boundary skills. So yeah, one-sided relationships. I kind of went off on a tangent there. Very good point in chat. Thank you so much, Arabesca. Really appreciate that. So this boundary supports fairness and prevents people pleasing behavior. So you kind of talk about your perception, like, you're kind of not happy because you're always the one reaching out to maintain the friendship and everything. Maybe that person doesn't want to be friends with you. Or here's what I found. Some people with ADHD, if you don't keep reminding them that you exist, they will totally forget that you exist. That kind of blew my mind when I forgot about that. So this is where your friend has to be honest with you and not BS you. Sometimes you have to say, hey, do you like hanging out, or are you just kind of hanging out with me because you feel obligated? That's always good. But one thing you can say, I feel used when I am always the one reaching out because I value mutual effort and friendships. So what I need is more balance and initiative on your end too. If this happens, again, I'm going to kind of wait and see if you reach out. If it continues, then I'm not going to put in as much effort. These are all very difficult, very hard conversations to have with people, but in the future, it makes your life a lot better. Everything in life that is difficult, everything in life that's worth doing is difficult. Some things, like, again, may seem simple, but they're the most difficult things to do. So, yeah, here's a little exercise that you can do. We're going to kind of do a quick seminar tonight, but this is what you can do in the future. Kind of take time to, we can take a couple minutes break if you guys want to take a couple minute break. Think about this. Yeah, let's do that. So complete these statements. Take a little bit of time to reflect these boundary and defining statements. Think about your life. People may not. What's something that's a deal breaker for you that people can't do for you? What I have a right to ask for. What do you have a right to ask for from other people? To protect myself, it's okay to. What can you do to protect yourself? And what my blank has value and I have the right to protect it. Some reflection questions. Y'all don't have to share these in chat necessarily, but we'll take it 2 minutes if you want to type some in chat. Otherwise, maybe get a sheet of paper out or on your phone, put a little blank notepad and type some of this stuff down. I always use the voice keyboard because I can speak a lot faster than I can type on a phone. But so when you feel uncomfortable in a situation but aren't sure why, here's what you ask yourself: how much of this situation is about me? How much of this situation is about the other person? And what do I need to do to regain my personal power? And while we're taking a couple minute break here, I'm going to just tell you something, something that I learned. So I was hurt a lot by people all my life. And then, my walls were very high. So I did not trust anyone. It's very hard for me to trust people and let people in close. Um, and what that does to us, like I said, you build those high walls and you kind of get suspicious of everybody. You don't want to let anyone in. And so you have to do the inner work to heal. You got to do a lot of self compassion work, like we talked about last week. And at first, when you start getting around people after you haven't been around people in a long time, you think kind of you're having all these horrible thoughts like, oh, no one's going to like me. Everybody's going to make fun of me. And so it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that your mindset will interpret everybody's behavior as not liking you when they may not be, when they may be neutral or they may even like you. So that's why it's important to do that internal healing work. And if you've had a lot of trauma in your life, select a therapist. I know people that have had success with internal family systems therapy as well as EMDR for extreme cases of trauma. Nothing wrong with that. Um, and I've had to heal myself because I remember when I started getting around people, like I said, I was very nervous, and I would sometimes think people were attacking me. But it was just my brain telling me, it was my brain playing tricks on me. So I had to do that inner healing. And then my emotions started settling down to where the point where now I can trust my emotions when I'm around someone and my gut gets a bad feeling. I ask myself these questions: how much of the situation is me and my perceptions from the past? How much of it is the other person? And what do I need to do to regain my power? So usually I'll be around that person a couple times. And if I get a bad feeling a couple times, 2, 3 times in a row, then that person don't need to be in my life. A buddy of mine, Anshar, called that somatic intelligence. One of the most intelligent dudes I've ever met. Like choose something like 200 IQ, give him a thick book, give the dude a thick book like this. He can read it in a half hour, answer any question out of the book. So yeah, I'm going to move on a little bit here. Yeah. So one of the things to watch out for is gossip. So the definition of gossip is sharing anything negative about another person. And I'll admit it, gossip is fun. It gives you that quick dopamine hit. It feels real good to gossip, but long term, yeah, thanks so much for sharing a chat. But long term, it's going to kill your friendships and relationships. People who gossip to you are going to say bad things behind your back. And if you have kind of a strict no gossip policy with yourself, is not saying anything negative about other people. The only exception, if someone's in danger, then I'll warn someone of something. But I try not to say negative things about other people behind if they're not there. And then I don't like saying negative things about people when they're right in the room. So that tells me I don't need to be saying negative things about people unless it's an emergency. But um, yeah, it's a very hard habit to break. Don't beat yourself up if you can't break it right away. Remember, we're taking those baby steps, those small steps. So over time, you're going to shift. So here's a trick I learned from. So yeah, warning signs, negative talk about absent people, and I talked to you about how gossip triggers dopamine in your brain. That's why it feels so dang good to do. That's why it's so fun. But dopamine hits are not joy. And when you transform your life, you go away from feeling pleasure to feeling joy if you do all the inner work. And joy is it's a more sustainable feeling, and it's so much better than just feeling short-term pleasure. And so here's something Bob Berg taught me when I was being mentored by him, and he makes a lot of posts about this. You can go to bobberg.com or the Go Giver. He's got a great weekly newsletter about leadership and communication tips. He says play the reverse gossip game. So this is a way that, like, if you have the urge to say something negative about someone behind their back, you can use those ACT tools, the mindfulness, to be aware of when that urge is coming up. Take a little step back, say, hey, this is a feeling, this is a thought I'm having, I'm having an urge to say something negative about someone. And then you have what Russ Harris calls a choice point. Am I going to act toward my value to connect with people, or am I going to go away from it and be the kind of person that I used to be? And am I going to be a coward and shrink back? But the reverse gossip game is, so when you have the urge to say something negative about someone, say something, replace it by saying something. Tell somebody how awesome they are, something you like about someone, especially behind people's backs. I mean, if you play a reverse gossip game, if you're the person who, wherever you go, and you're constantly telling people awesome things about other people, everybody is going to want to be your friend for this simple reason. It's a simple formula. It's if you like people and you appreciate people, and then you say awesome things about people's back, is you're gonna have everybody wanting to be your friend. And again, it's very, all this stuff is very tough and takes a lot of practice. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can do it. I believe in you. The fact that you're here, I mean, look, most people will not take a class like this, and they just go through um, life without changing at all. But you guys are better than 99.9% of the people out there, because you're actually making effort. And if you can go and practice in the real world, I mean, that's unbelievable. Very few people do that. So I'm going to talk to you about what abundance mindset is. We talked a lot about mindset last week. So scarcity, when you're in friend scarcity mode, like I was all those years, um, you're talking about, it's just so hard to get friends. A lot of it is because people born like us don't know the rules. We communicate like we want to be communicated with someone like us, but the rules, when you're a person that's autistic, slash Asperger's, or your other kind of neurodivergent, the way we communicate is quite different. So, like I said, in week 2, I taught you a lot of communication traps to avoid that make people have bad feelings about you, that trigger bad feelings in the brain. So, we got to learn to communicate in a way that people understand that we care about them. That's the key. But when you're operating friend scarcity mode, this also is like relationship scarcity mode. My relationship coaches talked to me about. You come across as desperate, and nobody wants to be friends with anyone who's needy and desperate, and it actually pushes people away. And really, the only way you can get over that desperation is by finding safe communities like I taught you to. Be a member of that safe community for a long time, and then over time you realize, wow, there's a lot of great people to be friends with, and I am enough. I am enough that people want to be friends with me. The abundance thinking, is that there's an unlimited amount of friends. If one friend doesn't work out, okay, it's okay. Not everybody is friends with everybody. It doesn't, just because you're not friends with someone, or someone's not friends with you, doesn't mean that the other person, you're a bad person, or that the other person is a bad person. You may have totally different interests. Like if someone's always wanted to go to like if somebody's so into sports and they're going to like a in-person sports game. This shows me how nerdy I am. I don't even know the right person terminology, but if that's all they're doing, me and that person aren't going to be best friends. Because if I go to a baseball game or a football game with them, they're going to see me being like bored the whole time, and they're not going to enjoy it as much. So, but they probably don't want to watch some of the things or go to the shows and movies that I like and stuff. And again, this is where detachment comes in, principle of detachment from Buddhist and Hindu traditions, and even Christian and other traditions applies here. It's like you be a good part of the community. You treat people well and be respectful to people and put up boundaries with people, have people respect you. And, people are going to come to you. You practice that mindset stuff that I taught you last week. People are going to come to you. And detachment is not about not caring. It's caring deeply, but not being attached to whether someone's your friend or not. Again, in Hindu, I studied under a Hindu priest a little bit in a philosophy discussion group. Real good guy, real good caring guy, really cared about people, took care about people. And he told me in Hinduism, detachment's about not paying, not it's letting go of expectations of outcomes. So that means whether something succeeds or fails, you do your best, but whether something succeeds or fails, it's okay either way. And I taught you the no fail formula in a previous class so that it truly is okay either way because you're just gaining experience points so you can level yourself up. A lot of life is just gaining that experience points, even though it hurts, and you're leveling yourself up to succeed later. Now, in Buddhism, detachment, as I understand it, it's realizing that everything is temporary. Um, and then in Christianity, mostly detachment is about not being attached to material things and things of this world. Um, Again, it's not about not caring. It's about not being desperate. I'm going to tell you, be on the lookout for these people. This is a little metaphor, and we'll go and explain it better later. There's an article in Psychology Today I read talking about the crab bucket metaphor. And now, when you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket, one of the crabs will try to escape, and what happens is all the other crabs pull that crab back into the bucket. It's the same with a lot of people too, and this is where jealousy can sabotage a lot of relationships. When somebody tries to improve their situation or has something good happen to them or achieve, be more successful, a lot of people's friends will get jealous and try to sabotage them. Um, and the alternative is, when your friends have something good happen to them, be the first person to congratulate them. They will always remember that, especially if you have people that are high achievers. If you're the first person to congratulate that person, sometimes they're going to reach their hand back and lift you up and create an environment where that everybody wins. I truly believe that there is a plan where we all work together and we all can win rather than trying to undercut everybody. I've did it with my meetup groups, a lot of meetup organizers, they're like, oh, we're not going to partner with other people. They'll steal all of our members. Well, what I've found in practice and what all the top other organizers, especially the other meetup mentors have found that I work with is when you partner with someone, it lifts both groups up. An example is I can tell you a local Facebook group started West MI Social Club, and man, they just blew up. They're like 15,000 people in a year. And, I've been running stuff in West Michigan on the Meetup platform for 11 years, and I didn't get those numbers. It makes me a little jealous. Some of them may be watching tonight. But, instead of being jealous, I'm like, why don't I just be part of this community and I can be plain old David Good instead of David Good, the leader? And then what I say, hey, I serve shy people. They would like to get more people to their events. So we exchange events. So I help get their shy people out to my events for shy people. And in turn, when people that come to my groups are ready to go to bigger events, I say, go to West MI Social Club events because you're ready now. And meanwhile, more shy people join their group. They come. So it's like a circle. We keep lifting each other up, and it just benefits both groups so much. So if you ever read the book, let me grab in a minute. Gotta read this book, The Go-Giver Influencer. I think this is my friend Bob Berg. This is his best book there. This is what really blew my mind when it comes to people. Um, really, so it goes down to the phrase, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. And the secret of influencing is for people to know that you care about them. I mean, your opinions don't matter one dang bit if people don't think you care about them. So you've got to focus on making connection with someone. And this is where I got another slide about this in the future. Yeah, just a rule I have is, you give, if you're constantly correcting people, giving advice to people, what that actually does is your advice and your corrections will not matter one bit to people because you're doing it all the time. And if the people know you don't if the people don't understand that you deeply care about them, if you don't have an emotional connection with that person, your advice doesn't matter anyways. A lot of us really intelligent people, it's like, oh, we've studied this thing for 10 years, so our opinions should matter. Well, your opinions don't matter until somebody knows that you actually care about them. The secret to influence is built slow over a long time for people to know that you have their best interests at heart. And if people don't think you have their best interests at heart, your your advice, your opinions don't matter one bit. So that's why I rarely, this is so hard for me to do, but I've been able to modify my behavior quite a bit to I and there's one exception. If a friend's going to make a mistake that will put them in physical danger or ruin their life, then I will give my opinion. And because I never give my opinion, it has more weight. So the less you give your opinions and advice, the more weight it will have when you yeah, the more weight it will have when you actually give that. And it's more important to listen than to talk. So the more you listen, and then once, so like if you're the guy people and then you never give your opinions, and then one day somebody's going to get themselves in a mess of trouble and they know that you really care about them, and then you break in with your opinion, they're going to say, well, hey, this guy, he never tells me what to do, so I may want to give a second thought about this. And just from knowing life, they probably will ignore your advice anyways and get themselves in a mess of trouble. But we don't judge our friends. We never say you never say I told you so. You're just there to help pick up your friends when they fall. So yeah, there are different levels of friends. Acquaintances. You meet people first off, and your friends are kind of people you have regular contact with, hang out with, and deep friends. They're the people that you can really talk about deeper stuff with, that are there for you when you go through rough. How you know you have a deep friend is they're there for you when you go through a rough time. I remember after my mom died, and this is why I have this mission of teaching and building all these groups for shy people. And we don't charge, we don't make a dime off of it. I'm hoping that eventually YouTube will pay us. That's why you got to share these classes, get as many people to watch as possible so we can have money to expand this organization. Right now, we've got in-person chapters. Well, I'm getting away from it. I already told you what the organization's like, but yeah, your deep friends will be there for you when you're in trouble, and you're there for them when they go through a rough time. When my mom died, I had 16 friends from my local meetup groups. I mean, I didn't have spending time alone for the first 6 weeks after she died. I mean, buddies came and spent the weekends with me and at time after work. And after that happened, I know this is my life's mission. I want everybody to have friends like that. And everybody can have friends like that if you just know the rules and how to have friends. And here's the thing, friendships shift over time. I don't like to yeah, I don't like for people to go away, but your lives change. I got a dude I know since elementary school. One of the hardest working dudes I know, cares more about his family than about anyone I know. I'm real proud of that guy for how well he takes care of his family. But he started getting married. Well, or no, he got married and then started having kids, and just didn't have as much time to hang out. And that's perfectly reasonable. I get kind of sad, when people go away, but then I realized I had to make more friends. So I went to meetup groups, started my first group, and you got to let friends kind of come and go. The tighter we hang on to friends, the more likely they are to go away. Like when Governor Tarkin and Princess Leia were on the bridge of the Death Star, before they were going to destroy Alderaan. And Princess Leia said to Governor Tarkin, the tighter you grasp your fist, the more star systems that are gonna fall through. So yeah, this is kind of just some other tips. When you're joining a new group, especially if you go into a new meetup group, you just want to kind of observe first, observe people's behavior, get the vibe of the group, using a lot of the skills we taught earlier. Don't immediately try to make a ton of best friends or whatever. Just show up consistent, listen to people, get to know people, see if it's the right group for you. One of the things I like to do is, Vicky, like that reference. All right. I actually posted that in acceptance and commitment therapy group, and they thought that was a great reference for illustrating the futility of trying to control your thoughts. Um, So yeah, I tend to try to have a student mindset. I like to get around people that are a lot more intelligent and a lot more experienced in things that are that I want to know about. This is great. Like, oh, especially if you're young, if you're a young guy, make friends with all the older guys in the groups, because they're not going to be competition for you. And they have all those decades of wisdom. So, like, whatever you're trying to learn, like if you go to business networking events, you're a young guy, late teens, 20s, make as many friends as you can with the oldest people there, because they're going to have been in the industry the longest, and you will get so much free mentorship. One of the things is, so this goes in with the personal board of advisors concept my friend David Siegel wrote about in his book Decide and Conquer. He always said that he always picked older friends with a diverse experience that he needed to know, and became good friends with them. And they acted like his own board of advisors, just like a company has a board of advisors. He had a personal board of advisors. And I took this idea and I put it on steroids. So now I have like advisors that are a lot older than me in just about any field that I need. But, it all starts with being a good friend, and you got to establish trust with those people. And I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. That's why it's so important to have older friends. So here's a little thing that I got from Adam Grant's book, Professor Grant, Give and Take. It's from Game Theory. And I don't want to go in the whole thing of what game theory is and everything, but there's a strategy called generous tit for tat. And when they did all these experiments, what they found was people who started out by giving first and then waiting for people to reciprocate, they ended up on top compared if they asked people to do something for them first, or if they gave without ever waiting for people to reciprocate. Because, if you're a generous person, if you're a giver like me, very easy to get burned. It's very easy to get burned. So you start out, this is especially true in like business relationships. Start out by giving value first. Always start by giving value first. And then observe who reciprocates, and if they reciprocate, that's someone that you can be a friend with, or that you can do business with. It works for business and friendships. And if there's someone that gives back, that's a quick way that you can separate out the people that will take from you and drain you from the people that will be there for you when you need them. And in turn, you got to be there for those people when they need you. Otherwise, the friendship goes away. Yeah, like I said about jealousy, jealousy is one of the biggest things. Having jealous people around you would be one of the biggest things that can sink you in life. Um, so how you know you have a good friend is when something good happens to you, or you have a big goal you're trying to do. Is they're encouraging or they celebrate with you. Um, some warning signs, if people give you backhanded comments like, oh, that's really great. I'm really surprised you could do that. Or they keep shifting it back to themselves, or trying to say like, oh, you only got that because you're lucky. Those are people you don't want to have in your life. Or say, yeah, you've been able to do this, but look how bad you are in this other area. Yeah, you don't want those people in your life, because if you've ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the things he says in that book is that how you feel about yourself, your belief in yourself, is the greatest factor in your success. And I talked about in an earlier lecture how our brains tend to skew negative, and we have all those negative voices inside. So if we have all these negative voices inside beating us up, oh, pardon me, we have all these negative voices inside beating us up. We don't need other people given fuel to the fire for those voices to continue beating ourselves up. We want people that are going to celebrate us and be happy when we're happy, and not jealous of us. So yeah, I'm going to talk about being kind for nice. So I remember I had David Siegel on International Friend Connection. A bit of a rough interview because I was pretty upset. I'd gone through some grief a week or two before he came on, but show must go on. We wanted to talk about one of the things being kind versus nice, and what it is. Sometimes people get them mixed up. So nice people, y'all know the nice guy who are only nice so that they can get something out of a woman. They don't generally care about people, but nice people just want to make people happy in the moment. They avoid conflict. They just tell people what they want to hear. They have zero boundaries. Like we talked about boundary earlier. Nice people don't put up boundaries. And long term, that'll kind of cause resentment. So kind people, the difference between kind and nice really is boundaries. Is you put up boundaries, take care of yourself. You put up boundaries, take care for others. And like I said, putting up boundaries is not being mean. Saying no is not being mean. It's just saying, hey, this is what I'm capable of, so I don't get worn out. So kind people, you do what's best for others long term. You have healthy boundaries. Sometimes you have those difficult conversations when necessary, and respect yourself and others, and you act from your values rather than just trying to get stuff out of people. A lot of nice people are nice so they can get stuff out of people. They don't really care. Here's a little analogy I came up with. Being nice to a kid is like letting it eat ice cream. Man, when I was a kid, I just wanted to eat candy and ice cream all the time. But my mom wouldn't let me. She'd make me eat a good dinner and a good lunch and everything. And I'd get a treat once in a while because my teeth would rot out, or I'd get real obese and my health would just go down. Or like I got migraine headaches. I always wanted to eat a lot of chocolate or have caffeinated drinks and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't let me because she know that could be a migraine trigger. And I felt so sad about it. But that was a kindness she did to me rather than just giving in, letting me eat all that stuff that could cause a migraine. Being kind means not letting them do stuff because you care about the well-being when you're a parent. So kindness aligns with genuine values like honesty and care for people. And then, a lot of times people are nice because they just don't want to be alone. They have fear of rejection and conflict. But now you've been coming to the classes, you got the secrets to making all the friends you want, and y'all are never going to be alone again. The essential qualities of good friends is they're going to respect your boundaries. They're not going to pressure things to do things you're not comfortable with. They respect your no. Like, if you're not into drinking, they aren't going to make you drink alcohol. They're going to respect that, and they're not going to judge you about it. They're going to accept you as you are. They might offer feedback when you ask them for honest feedback, but they're not going to constantly judge you and cut you down and try to change you. When life gets hard, they're going to be for you in turn, you got to be there for when your friends. That's one of the things I pledge to my friends. If I can, I drop whatever I'm doing. If they're going through an extreme time, I'm there to support them in a reasonable amount. And I always stress this: good friends are going to celebrate your successes. Go talk a little bit about cross-cultural communication, and I have a lot of experience in this running international organization. We had leaders from many countries. And one thing I'll say is every person is their own microcosm of how they understand the world. The same words in English can mean totally different things to two English speakers. That blows my mind, especially if you're talking about a person who's autistic and a person who's not autistic. We have ways of communicating that can be quite different. And so we got to learn the rules to communicate with neurotypical people. And those rules can be learned. And I don't see changing my communication as masking. Everybody has to decide what for them is masking, not masking. I see changing my communication to be understood better. Just like if you're trying to speak English to a person that only speaks Japanese, if you're speaking really loud and really slow, you do that, they're still not going to understand you because they don't understand English. Or just like if they spoke Japanese to you and we're trying to speak it loud and slow, it's not going to make you understand it better. Yeah, I had a great friend, Young. A long story about that. Took me 8 years to realize she liked me more as a friend, and then she went back to China, and so guys cannot read signals. We'll talk about that next week about guys not reading signals. But yeah, what she always said to me was, you and I are from two different cultures. We speak different languages, so we got to be very patient and understanding and work to understand each other, and ask a lot of clarifying questions when we're confused, or maybe one person says something that makes you mad, but they totally didn't mean it that way. So it's great to ask a clarifying question. And, communicating across cultures, you got to understand the background and adjust your communication. And a lot of the times, when I studied intercultural communication, I was like, oh, this kind of BS. I shouldn't have to adjust to other people. But what I realized was the more you adjust to other people, the more you're likely to get what you want and need from them. The more likely they're the more likely they are to do what you need them to do to make your life better. But we only want to do that if it's going to make both people's lives better. You want those win-win solutions. So supporting friends through tough times, it's more important to listen than give advice. Empathy, it's better to empathize than give advice when someone is going through a rough time. Only give advice if they directly asked. You'll connect with people and you'll matter to people more. Show up physically and emotionally, that's why I stress going out, making those friends in person, because your friends on Discord, your friends on Zoom, they can't come and sit by you on the couch unless they got a ton of money to fly out where you are. And when someone's going through grief, or going through cancer or something or a bad illness, just offering the advice, oh, let me know if you need anything. Well, that's going to cause brain lock because they may not know what they need, but a lot of times is offer specific things you can need, like, okay, you just had the person closest to you die. Here's what I can do. Do you want me to come over, spend some time with you after work? Do you want me to bring you a meal? Would that help you out? Could I clean your house a little bit? Give specific things that you can do, because a lot of times someone goes through a bad breakup or bad grief, their brain's not working right. And here's something I try to. Now, this is a very advanced thing to do. Don't beat yourself up. I try to be able to dispassionately listen to all ideas without getting upset. And there was a quote. I don't know who said it. It's attributed to Aristotle or one of the Stoics. It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Um, Listening to other people's perspectives without judging it. Just because you listen doesn't mean you agree. It may help you to understand where they're coming from. I think what a lot happens nowadays, our minds are so full of judgment that we're not willing to sit down with people different from us, um, and learn why they believe what they believe and what their lives have been like to cause them to believe what they believe. And again, it's tough to let go of ingrained beliefs. But what I believe in questioning everything. So I've turned all my beliefs that I grew up with over in my head. I've kept the ones that actually make sense according to my life experience and the tens of thousands of people I've met. And I've had to let go of others, and that's something very hard to do. Very few people are able to do that. But if you can do that, it's very freeing. And, like I say to you, question everything I teach. I may be the only person teaching this stuff, that tells you to question everything I teach. Try it in the real world. Find what works for you. This is all about workability. If something doesn't work for you in the real world, after you've tried it a lot of times, like I said, you got to practice, practice, practice at least 100 times before you know it'll work. But if it doesn't work for you, adjust it and pivot to work for you. This will go more along with the class and strategy that I can teach in the future. So dealing with negative people, we all know what the negative people are like. People constantly complain. Spend too much time with people like those drag you down. But this doesn't mean abandoning friends going through hard times. But if someone's always negative, and my rule is like, I'll listen to someone complain if they tell me, if it's not too often, and if they tell me the actions that they're taking to get out of the situation that they're in. Um, and one thing I learned at a conference meetup sent me to in California, CMX, there was a great presenter from Australia. She said one of her things that she asks when she's going through a problem is not just what do I need to learn to solve this problem, it's who do I need to know and talk to, and that was mind blowing. So like who has had this problem before, who has helped other people through it, or who has gotten through it, and how can they help me? And if you do those two things, what do I need to learn and who do I need to talk to? You can solve about any problem. Yeah, so I put this slide in, power of like, know, and trust. This is kind of something talked about kind of the sales community, business community, but it applies to friendship, especially joining a local community. This is how to have maximum influence with people. This is how to make good friends. All three things has to come together in order for you to be a friend with someone and do business with someone. So basic, it's like, know, and trust. Like, be friendly. If you like others, one secret to getting a lot of friends is just to like people. Um, just to like people, say awesome things about them, just to be friendly and like others, know how to be friendly, listen to people, ask them good questions about themselves, like we talked about in week 2. Um, and that's how you get people to like you. But knowing people, now you have to spend the time. So, like I talked about, a lot of people go to a meetup group or other local Facebook group or something that does small local events, or a church group. They'll come once and be like, "Oh, I haven't made a bunch of friends. I'm never coming back again." It takes time to get comfortable with people and for people to get comfortable with you. So you got to go every week or every other week or however often they do it, and be a regular. There's so much power in being a regular. And then trusting. Trust comes when actions match words. So if someone's constantly saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and they never do it, or like they talk about something but their behavior is totally opposite, that's someone that you can't trust. And when behavior doesn't match words, trust behavior, don't trust the words. Always trust behavior over words. um and when all three are present, you have a great friend. Oh, great question in chat. What if a friend holds different values that I don't like agree? Can you still be deep friends? Um, Generally, I'm not deep friends with people who have totally different values. Um, Now, they can have different views and issues and things, but if they don't have a value of integrity, if they don't have value about caring about people and things like that, we're probably not going to be deep friends. It's very tough to be deep friends with someone that you have completely different values for. And again, we'll have a class in the future on values, but just to sum up values are kind of like guiding principles that you want to live your life by, versus goals or like kind of specific things that you want to accomplish. But yeah, it's very tough to be deep friends with people who have radically different values from you. But you could be acquaintances, you could be friends with people like that. And sometimes, when you have someone vastly different from you, um, and they go through a rough time, and if you're there for them, that may that may get them to change their worldview a little bit. That act of caring that you do for them may say, hey, maybe I'm wrong about people who are different from me. And I think by our own examples, by our own behavior, that is the greatest influence we can have over others, is by just being in the world. It's more because we all know those people who post their opinions all the time on Facebook, who just constantly give their opinions away and everything. And nobody really cares about those people, but it's the people who are the example, who live their values, who live those values of integrity and honesty and caring about other people. Those are the people that we trust. And those are the people who influence us over long term. But sometimes there's a saying in psychology. I can't think of it right now. Maybe somebody can type it in chat. It's like, is it cognitive dissonance? No, it might be. It's where you believe one thing, but your life experience tells you that that thing you believe is not true. So it's almost like you have the blue screen of death in your mind, like in Windows. I totally forgot what that's called. I keep forgetting, but if you remember, type it in chat. And sometimes that can be a hard thing for people to go through. It's happened to me. It's always been a kind of little bit of growth. Um, so, as someone who's not neurotypical, a lot of things that are common sense to me might not be common sense to others, and vice versa. So I always tell my neurotypical friends to be patient with me. Sometimes I'll even disclose communication differences. That's what I learned from my buddy Anshar. It might be good to disclose communication differences up front in the future. Like if you tend to info dump, tell people, I tend to go on and on, but if you get tired of me going on and on, hold like a finger up, and then I know to pause or stop. Cognitive dissonance. Great. Thanks so much, Abigail. Thanks so much for calling in today. Really appreciate it. We got a brilliant audience here. So yeah, gender dynamics. Well, this is something for me. It maybe your mileage may vary. I've found a lot of young guys. We have a woman that's like a real best friend. Then we'll develop feelings for her, and it is just so hard. That's been for me first. So if I start developing feelings for someone, a woman that's my friend, um, this sounds a bit cruel, but I will have to pull away if she's not interested in me, because otherwise, if she's not interested, it's not fair to me because those feelings may keep growing and growing. And here's the thing: you can't control romantic feelings. It's something that you just can't control. So it's how much torture you want to put yourself through. This may be true for women too. That you get real close to a guy, you may develop romantic feelings, and then if he doesn't reciprocate those, you may have to pull away a little bit to protect yourself, so that those feelings don't grow. Because it hurts so bad to love someone deeply and not have them care about you that way. It's just torture. Um, Also, it's changing life stages. As I know, your friends, you may have deep friends and then their lives may change, and or they move away and they become, they're still acquaintances or friends, but they're not deep friends like they used to be. But sometimes, we take our definition of friendship from childhood, especially people like me. Um, when you had a friend, when you're kids, you saw each other every day in school. You'd go to each other's houses more than one time per week, hang out with your friends. But when you're adult, you get married, you have kids, you have families, you're busy with work, with projects, and you can't see each other as often. But that doesn't mean that you're not close friends. See, I sometimes think, oh, I don't have any close friends, so I'm not seeing my friends every day. But then I kind of realized, when my mom died, a lot of people were there for me. And that meant they cared about me. So I do have close friends, even though I don't see them every day. That was kind of mind blowing to learn too. So, yeah, here's some practical exercises for after the class. Now, this class will be available on YouTube. Please share it and go ahead and go back through it. You can do some of these exercises. But yeah, go through that boundary chapter, complete the sentence finishing activity about boundaries, kind of communication practice. Use the formula I feel blank when blank because blank. What I need is blank. Yeah, use that in interaction with the future with someone and start out slow. If you're someone that doesn't throw up many boundaries, if you jump into it real fast, like I say, anything you jump into real fast and start doing a lot, you're not going to succeed as unless as the same as if you start slowly and small. It's like January 1st trying to go to the gym every day, like 3 hours a day. Maybe it'll last for a week, but then you go less and less because you just got overwhelmed. And then maybe kind of evaluate your current friendships using some of the things we discussed. And the reverse, do this in the next week. If you don't do anything in the next week, try the reverse gossip challenge. My friend Bob Berg taught me. Say something nice behind someone's back. Just do it once this week. If you can do it every day, you're awesome. You're just awesome person. But it takes time to develop friends and close relationships. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Every interaction, even the awkward ones, we taught you how you're developing experience points to level your communication skills up so that you can get to the next level. Um, if you practice this stuff, it's going to serve you for a whole life. So some of the key takeaways. Remember that perfection isn't the goal, progress is. I told you about how Michael Jordan, in the beginning, he lost so many games. His team was depending upon him to win a lot of games, and he totally lost them. But once he became one of the greatest, everybody forgot about that in the beginning. So we're messy. We're not good at this stuff in the beginning, but the more we practice, the better we'll be. Talk about different levels of friendships, types of boundaries, implementing healthy boundaries, caring about people, selecting friends wisely. You're going to build that supportive social network that enhances your life and helps you to thrive. And in turn, you're going to be that person that helps others to thrive. So it's a circle that keeps, it's like a feedback circle that keeps everybody improving and everybody's life getting better and better. And remember, Just because your boundaries don't match someone else's doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. They may not have the capability of giving you what you need right now in a friendship or a relationship. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. Just means y'all aren't a good fit. I mean, I've known plenty of people that, our lives aren't a good fit together. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. You want to get in touch. Free events, internationalfriendconnection.com, links to most of our meetup groups. I need to update that site, but I don't have the time or the monetary resources. You got something out of this, consider giving us a little donation. Best thing you can do is help us to get all those watch hours so that we can monetize this channel. So like and share all these videos that we do. I try to release some videos during the week too. I'm working on a book, so I may not be able to release that many this week. I may just do one per week and one live stream. My personal website, davidgood.org. You can see a lot of the TV interviews I've been on, TV segments they've did about International Friend Connection, awards from the President of the United States. And Friend Magnet Private Community. If you want access to some notes and cheat sheets and things that you can have in your phone, just $9 a month. It's like the price of a Starbucks coffee or a Big Mac or something like that. You won't miss it. And that money, what it goes toward paying for all this software, all this special stuff I need for my disabilities. And it also goes toward expanding the friend magnet or the international friend connection groups all over the world. So here is the dream. Here's the dream I want to share with you before we sign off and do the Q&A. Feel free to put those questions in chat. But the dream is right now we have 51 chapters, virtual and in person. In person, about 5 chapters in Michigan, one chapter in Portugal. Great leader in Portugal. I'm chief of global affairs for the Octopus Movement. I volunteered to do that because I believe in their mission of helping neurodivergent people. So we've got a group in Portugal that's kind of like a home base for neurodivergent people. We got a networking group in New York put on by our great friend Jack at the Happy Spot. On 2 Tuesdays a month in New York City. And so we've got in person just Michigan, New York City, and Portugal. We want to expand the number of leaders around the world. But the thing is we can't have like hundreds of volunteers and no resources coming in. So subscriptions to the Friend Magnet, your donations and subscriptions and proceeds from my new business are going to be dedicated so that we can expand the number of groups, creating these homes all around the world for shy people, for neurodivergent people, just so they can have a place to belong. Because I think everybody is important in the future. If you're watching this, you're important in the future. You may not know your role in the future of humanity or the future of America or whatever nation that you have. You may not know your role right now, but I can guarantee you, when I was in bed, sick with migraines and horrible neck pain, bedridden multiple days per week, I did not know that I would one day lead a global organization, get recognized by the President of the United States and internationally by Points of Light. You never know what life is in store for you. So you may be suffering right now, and maybe all you can do is hold on. But you just don't know what life has in store for you and how important you are to the future of humanity. So hang on. I hung on through those endless days of pain, those endless days of depression when I had to choose to live or not live. And I am so glad I did, because on the other side of all that pain is just this beautiful life with all these beautiful friends that I have. And I want to help you to have this amazing life as well. So watch these classes, implement what we teach, and I can guarantee you a year from now, your life's going to be totally different. And let's go ahead. I'm going to stay on a bit longer if people have more questions. Yeah, we've been on for about an hour, 15 minutes now. Yeah, thanks so much for saying that in chat, Jesse. Real great that you're here tonight. Got a lot of people, great people here. We got Donald. We got he's got a friend with him watching. We got Vicky. We got Abigail. We got Jesse. A lot more people. So yeah, every Monday night, join us about 7. We're changing these. Actually, we got more viewers at 8:30 p.m. But it's a bit late. So I want to get these over by about 8:30. So we'll start 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on another, we'll do another 5 minutes in case anybody has a question, and then I'll answer whatever questions people has. But yeah, just again, all this stuff is very, it may sound simple because one of my superpowers, I'm a systems level thinker. So I have extra connections in my brain. And what that lets me do, it lets me see patterns that other people miss. It lets me take complex things and simplify them into a framework or a system. And that's just something I like doing. So I'm glad I have that power. But yeah, a lot of this stuff may seem simple. But it's very hard to implement. Oh, great question in chat. What if you have friends that come to you constantly seeing you as their therapist and they complain, but then they have no time to hear what's going on with your life? Well, that's a very good question. When we talked about the one-sided friendships, um, it's okay to put a boundary up. And we talked about that before. Let me, here we go. Now I'm on the full screen. Some say I may have a face for radio. But yeah, that's when it's okay to put a boundary. People, it's like say, hey, I feel like this friendship is very one-sided. And I like listening to you, but there's got to be some balance. And I can only handle so much negativity dumped into me. And if you continue to do it in the future, I may not be around as much. And then you got to have the courage to not be around as much or not hang out with them as much. And that can be so hard to do. That can be just so dang hard to do, especially if you care about people. But it's good for them in the long run because, well, it's good for them in the long run if they learn not to do it. Maybe they'll reach out to like actually talk with a therapist or a warm line or something like that. Um, but yeah, you got to put up the boundary. And if you go back to earlier in our class where I talked about boundaries, I talked about this very scenario. Now, here's something this friend may come back with you with, because I've had several people tell me that when they've told their friends, they feel the relationship's one-sided. One guy said like he was always giving his friend rides everywhere, but his friend would never give him a ride when he needed. And then he brought that fact up. And then what the friend said to him was like, oh, you see friendships as transactional, or you see relationships as transactional. And if somebody says that to you, that's not a good friend for you, because relationships should not be transactional, but relationships need to be reciprocal. Both people need to care about each other, and both people need to do things about each other. Now, like I said, sometimes you have to carry your friends when they're too wounded to fight, as kind of a metaphor. They're going through a lot of grief, or they go through a bad breakup. But in turn, when you go through a hard time, they should be willing to carry you a little bit too. So it always has to be reciprocal. And what I'll tell you, that may be such a hard thing to kind of to pull back on that friendship if they don't respect your boundary. Boundaries are very hard. It's just a fact of life, but everything worth doing in life is difficult. I really appreciate the question. I was hoping that question would come up. Anybody else have any great questions here for us? I'll be on another couple minutes. Again, go to davidgood.org. You can find out more about me, get in touch. Friendmagnet.com, link to our private community. I was going to do some group coaching, but I got another project I'm working on, a book I'm writing. So actually, we'll have 2 books coming out, hopefully by end of this year. One coming out in a couple months and one by the end of the year with a great author, my friend Pastor Don, who's a professor emeritus in Tennessee. Another one of the go-givers. Wonderful people that are connected to Bob Bird. And our YouTube channel, Friend Magnet, please share it with everybody you can. I wish I had like a volunteer editor who could kind of cut some of these up. And the hardest thing about doing YouTube is doing all the SEO for the videos, the keyword selection, and then everything like that. Got a great guy, Marcellus, at videogeeksquad.com, trained me how to do YouTube. I mean, his program is amazing. If you want to learn how to do YouTube, get in touch with my buddy Marcellus, or get in touch with me and I'll get you in touch. But like I said, y'all need something. I got a guy for just about it. Well, guy or a gal or person for just about everything. So y'all need something, get in touch with me. I can make a referral. But I'm not seeing any other questions. So I give it one more minute. We'll go to 8:23. Then I'm going to sign off here, take a break. Hey, my pleasure for answering that. It's totally my pleasure to answer that question. Thanks so much for asking it. So when will the book come out? So we're working on them right now. But next couple of months but the next couple of months, I'm working on a business book, a values driven system of strategy to help mission based companies grow and make decisions. Kind of goes over being involved with other companies, mission based companies, as well as building my own mission based organization over 11 years and 100 volunteers, how I kind of made decisions. Yeah, and that's we got a couple months till the first one comes out. Maybe I'll beat that, but I don't want to promise it too soon. Going to start working on it later this week and next week. I'm getting me so see my time at the computer is limited. If you watch one of our recent videos, I get all these long needles put in my head two times every couple months, just so I can sit at the computer and bring these classes to you. And that's how powerful living by your values and finding your purpose is. And we'll cover that in a future class. But once you find your purpose, your mission in life, it gives you superpowers. You can do anything, things that you never thought before. One of the last things I'll leave you with is you got to find your why in order to do a lot of this stuff, because a lot of this stuff is like terrifying to do. It's difficult to do. So you've got to find something that you want more than your pain. I told this to a group of therapists and they got their mind blown that they should help have their clients figure out their why, what they want more than the situation or pain that they're in. And I remember back in the days when I was having endless pain or endless depression, what I wanted was to be able to help all these people. And when I first started going to therapy and learning self commitment therapy, this was way before I got a certificate in it for coaching. Um, I mean, I wanted not to be miserable and alone. And, it worked out. I'm not miserable and alone. So pretty cool. But hey, not seeing any other questions. I'm going to take off. It's 8:25. Thank you again so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for everybody who stayed through the whole class and watched. Please share it with your friends. And we'll be back next Monday. Next Monday will be the big one. Ties everything together about how you can meet people in person without using dating apps. And I teach you how to use a friend magnet system to kind of find people that you're compatible with that you can have a good life with. So thank you so much for hanging out tonight, and I'll see you all in the future. Oh, and by the way, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m., go to internationalfriendconnection.com. You get links to our main group, International Friend Connection. We're going to all be meeting via Zoom and hanging out. I play a game. It's a game that allows people to practice being on camera and speaking in front of other people, because I know right now it may be enough to for y'all to chat on here. I hope the next step you'll get brave enough to come to our Zoom meeting and then be in the Zoom meeting, be on camera in front of people. And then after that, you'll keep using the techniques I taught you. You'll be brave enough to go out to a community in person. And if you can do that a little bit at a time, I'm teaching you to do this a little bit at a time. A year from now, I guarantee you're going to have that life that you've been dreaming about. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out tonight, and I'll see you Wednesday or next week. Or if you're in Grand Rapids, I'll see you on Friday because we're gonna